Hey everyone, this is Compa. We have a new TekWars right now. We have a special guest. It's rare, in studio with another person. Have we had anyone else record live with us?
No, never before.
Yeah, we don't do that. You gotta lean real close. We have Deanna here. Deanna, how do you say Havas?
Yeah.
That's correct? Okay, well, that's good.
Havas in Hungarian.
And what do you do? You're some kind of artist or something?
Yeah, I guess so.
You're
like
a
that.
blacklisted artist?
I don't know. I don't know what my social standing is.
But you've had some controversies in your time.
I guess.
You're at war with
Who
Luke
hasn't?
Turner.
Who hasn't?
You're at war with Luke Turner.
I have a lot of personal wars. Yes, it's true.
Personal tech wars. We don't talk about regular wars here. We talk about tech wars. That's what we're all about.
Speaking of which, shout out to the King William Shatner for acknowledging the podcast, even though it was a bittersweet ending. And
He says that he won't go on any podcast, but if you got to go out there, let him know. You can be my little Howard Stern bots and go and get this guy.
This isn't just a podcast. It's like a...
This is a cult.
Yeah, it's a cult.
It's a lifestyle.
Tell him it's a cult.
Tell him it's a lifestyle.
Tell him we made a religious, theocratic occult around TekWars.
And don't forget to email Rudy at Alpha Investments.
Yeah, we're still working on
At
that.
Alpha Investments, LLC@gmail.com. Please let my man Rudy know that he needs to get on that show and talk to us about Magic the Gathering. Have you played Magic the Gathering, Deanna?
No.
Okay. I don't know why we had you on the show.
I'm
a bit disappointed, to be honest.
I was an early Bitcoin person, and I had an account on Mt. Gox, which is actually Magic the Gathering Ponzi scheme. So
That's true. Mark
have some
Karpopoulos
credit.
or whatever
I
got
some credit for that.
You get 1% credit, but if you weren't back there in your day playing Tempest when it came out...
I don't know, I'm a girl.
We disavow
girls don't
crypto
do that.
here.
We disavow crypto. We disavow women who don't play Magic the Gathering. I don't know. But I wanted to first talk about, because there's this insane picture of Bill Clinton wearing a blue dress and high heels, and he's sitting in the Oval Office, and Jeffrey Epstein had this picture hung up. And I want you, if you could just go, Deanna, through your credentials as a major international artist and explain to us your reading of this painting. I mean, can you do an analysis of this for us, about what it
art
says
history and
about the psychology?
Oh yeah, no,
of Jeffrey Epstein?
I did have time as an art critic. Did do some art criticism stuff. Well, if we want to do a textual reading of the painting, that's, just the painting as it's presented to us. We've got a lot going on here. We have this sort of, I guess what's most striking about it at first glance is just this weird neck area. Do you see this right here? Where the shoulders are. Yeah, there's something very
promiscuous,
off-putting about the anatomy. It's clearly off. I don't know if this was intentional or not. That's sort of the first thing that you notice, or what drew my eye in first. It's kind of unsettling, and then you're looking in this area, and then you zoom in, and you see, this former president, and, making this sort of, again, with this jarring anatomy, pointing at you. It conjures up this Uncle Sam sort of image. I don't know. There's a lot going on, and then there's the blue dress. It's allegedly supposed to be inspired by a photo of Hillary in a blue dress, but of course we know from the Lewinsky scandal that the blue dress was a instrumental piece of evidence. So of course, that comes to mind. There's this sort of like blurry bookshelf behind. He might be actually in one of the rooms in the White House. There's this sort of like
I think that's what
crown
has
molding.
been alleged.
Yeah. And then there's this weird sort of frosted ice door that I don't know. It seems like it wouldn't belong in the White House.
How would you rate this painting on a scale of 1 to 10, like as an art critic?
There's something that I really admire about it. There's something very surreal and very off-putting about the whole thing. It's very disturbing image, so I appreciate it in that sense. I'm not sure if all of the reasons that it's so I don't know if the reason it's so weird is intentional on the artist's behalf. I think that maybe they were just not, very skilled with scale and proportion and anatomy and that sort of thing. So, I don't know. I would be interested in seeing other works by the artist.
Yeah, we tried to Google that, but we couldn't come up with Tech Warriors. Let us know if you find.
We need more, yeah.
Yeah, I need
but
sort of the oeuvre.
This stuff, I mean, this all. I mentioned when we talked to Ariel about a guy named Carroll Quigley in a book that he wrote called The Anglo-American Establishment. And we need to, get into all that. I mean, I guess, one person responded and said, I'm glad that you mentioned Carroll Quigley. And, I don't think that a lot of people know about this particular connection. But Carroll Quigley was, a Georgetown professor. He was, a mentor to Bill Clinton. And, Bill Clinton, read his books and, endorsed his books. And Carroll Quigley wrote, 2 books, The Anglo-American Establishment, and he has another one called Tragedy and Hope. And he was, a historical scholar. He wanted to, go into the secret history of, the 20th century. And he believed in this thing called the Round Table Group, which was, going back to 1890 or something. And it was comprised of all these, British sort of business, early industrial, corporate businessmen. These were, colonial administrators who, founded mining corporations that are, still in existence today.
Is that the shadow business core?
But if you think about, this whole Epstein thing, people don't think enough about, they think, conspiracy theory, and they think it's something, so weird, but, if you actually look at many of the pieces of the puzzle, you can sort of see, how it actually, works. This is, a English, very formalized, elite social club, basically, that was founded in the 19th century and was connected to all these, giant multinational conglomerates. You can see that social circle pervading throughout, the 20th century. And you can see that, people Alan Dulles and, all of this early CIA people.
What a guy.
They were all part of that. They were all part of that, New York, London finance business circle. And, now we have, the Epstein thing, which Bill Clinton was, a part of. And I wonder, is that the modern manifestation of, this round table movement that Carroll Quigley talks about? Is that why Bill Clinton liked that book so much?
I mean, yeah, I guess I just wonder how all the satanic pedophilia and ritualism stuff got in there. If it is, where does that come in? I mean, you saw, I'm sure everyone's seen the images of that temple, or I don't know, whatever. On his island,
on his island.
His Egyptian Israeli colored temple.
Yeah, and then the Amazon.com order for all those sex slavery books and stuff like that. It's I don't know. There's there's a lot in there, and I don't know what they were doing in this group that you're talking about.
No, I'll read what something that he wrote.
I was trying to find the Chapo Trap House take. I do not endorse that podcast.
This is like, don't. None of you should be listening to any other podcast because I don't think any of them are going to talk about Carol Quigley.
I did see someone post. I don't know who they are, but someone from Chapo.
I saw them IRL.
Did you? Did you went to like a show or something?
No, I was at a press at CPAC.
Oh,
they were in the
nice.
press pool.
But I saw a guy from Chapo had a pretty interesting take that there is no real Jeffrey Epstein, that he's just a cutout. I couldn't find it, and I was looking for it.
Here's what Carol Quigley said.
Yeah, there you go.
This radical right he's talking about like whether or not the global conspiracy is communist or not, and he says this radical right fairy tale, which is now an accepted folk myth in many groups in America, pictured the recent history of the United States in regard to domestic reform and in foreign affairs as a well-organized plot by extreme left-wing elements. This myth, like all fables, does in fact have a modicum of truth. There does exist and has existed for a generation an international Anglophile network which operates to some extent in the way the radical right believes the communists act. In fact, this network, which we may identify as the roundtable groups, has no aversion to cooperating with the communists or any other group and frequently does so. I know of the operation of this network because I've studied it for 20 years and was permitted for 2 years in the early 1960s to examine its papers and secret records. I have no aversion to it or to most of its aims and have for much of my life been close to it and its many instruments.
They're neoliberals.
Yeah, this is like, this is the whole thing, because this is what like the CIA did. Like, this is the whole point of the CIA, is that there's actually a good movie. Have you seen the Robert De Niro movie, The Good Shepherd?
No.
This is like a movie that's heavily criticized. A lot of people don't like this movie. And do you like James Bond?
I guess. I don't know.
I'm like, you like James Bond.
Yeah, I guess I have a positive.
This is bullshit. This is so bad.
Positive opinion.
We're like the anti-Richard Spencer here. We're the anti-James Bond podcast, because James Bond, I went to go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right? And
is this a movie that's out now? I don't know anything about movies. This is like one realm of
the Quentin Tarantino movie.
I originally said when I saw it that I did not like it, but I take that back. It was in retrospect.
But do you remember the trailers in front of the movie? There was like trailers for like Charlie's Angel, and then they have that like spy movie like Kingsman or something. I haven't seen any of those, but I guess there's a new one of those coming out, and both the trailers are like, we're the secret good guys. We have no accountability and no oversight, and like we're gonna go out there and stop the bad guys. And just like James Bond, I think like that these movies are like, they're like the worst propaganda.
So like creating a positive presence of like Interpol, CIA, like fetishizing that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but like Robert De Niro made this movie called The Good Shepherd about the CIA, and it's like the best movie about like actual spy stuff. I mean, it has a lot of flaws, and like the CIA has like published like stuff about like all the inaccuracies in the movie, and the actual plot of the movie.
Mad.
Yeah, they're mad, but the actual plot of the movie is not accurate. It's about like the Bay of Pigs invasion and something that goes wrong in it, and that part of it is not like actually correct about like what in particular went wrong in the Bay of Pigs, but it's more about like the CIA history, and it goes into this sort of thing where it's like the Skull and Bones Society is like the place where all these OSS people in World War II were recruited from, and it goes into like the sort of like Anglo-American, like New York, London, like Harvard, Princeton, Yale.
Six Eyes.
Yeah, it goes into that sort of like how these people like created the CIA, and then like so they were all like corporate lawyers. Like they weren't like military people who were like trained up and like given they were just like taken out, like plucked out of like elite universities or businesses, and they were like corporate lawyers and stuff, and then they were given like commissions to be in the military and be part of OSS.
I think this still happens to some degree, this sort of like recruiting.
Like the show Mad Men? Have you watched that? A lot of people like it. My girl Abigail Shapiro really likes it. I don't know why.
Shout out to Abby.
Yeah.
Classically Abby. Always keeping it classical.
Her account is so shitty and bad.
How'd you feel about that Old Town Road as a fan of Lil Nas X?
Man. Did you see that?
What?
This is Ben Shapiro's sister.
She's heavy into opera.
Oh, really?
She has a Twitter account, and she's like trying to like create like a brand kind of thing, where she gives like YouTube videos like about like fashion advice about like how to be like a conservative Jewish like fashion woman in today's modern world or whatever. I don't know.
That's crazy.
But she's not really succeeding at it because her content is awful and that everything she posts on her Twitter is terrible. But she has a video of herself singing Old Town Road, which is like particularly egregious and unlistenable.
That's great.
In opera form.
You can tell with the Shapiro kids that their parents enrolled them in like too many extracurriculars.
With that video of
like
Ben playing
like the violin.
What's that movie on the
I don't know.
the violin for the whatever the fuck.
They seem Ben at least is very like seems very type A and like tightly wound. I don't know.
That's definitely in him.
But so they had these corporate businessmen who were part of OSS, and then these were like the people like Alan Dulles,
the man,
and his brother John Foster Dulles,
Secretary
and they were
of
like,
State.
If you don't know it, people should like know about this off the top of their head. Do you know all about this off the top of your head?
About what?
Like
Alan
Alan
Dulles
Dulles and like who he is and like what his career was.
Why don't you?
But no, this is just what I'm saying. I'm not gonna condemn you or anything for not knowing, because I feel like a lot of people like just don't know about this like as basic like history, right?
You have to read David Talbot.
Yeah, I saw that you got that book, Warren. That's good. That's a really good book. I recommend that you go through that, because Alan Dulles is the like most important director of Central Intelligence in the history, and he was during the Eisenhower administration and into the Kennedy administration. And so in the 50s, like the CIA did like all this crazy shit, and they did coups in like Guatemala,
right,
and
all this like nasty stuff.
But it's like in particular, like
that they're pretty much infamous for.
Yeah, in particular though, it's like this. These were like for international like business interests, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so like you had like the United like Fruit Company, and like Guatemala, and so you have like a person like Alan Dulles who's like bred into this like elite like level of society with all these connections. He's a lawyer, and he has his clients. He has clients in London and clients in Berlin, and they're that's the purpose of the OSS, was to do like continue business dealings between this group and like German companies during World War II.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted to keep it going, but you're at war, so you can't. So like basically the OSS went over there and like with a bunch of corporate lawyers and like did a bunch of like deals with like Jewish gold and stuff. Right. Yeah. So they did all this shit for all these neoliberal like corporations that want to control like all of the world's resources. Like that's the real thing. And this is why I hate. Where do you stand on Obama and him being like a Manchurian candidate? Are you like an Obama truther? Or like a birther? Like
you're a birtherist, aren't you?
I mean,
this is gonna ruin your career forever. Unless you say that you're not like a birther, but I don't think that you can, in all honesty, say that you're not.
This is gonna bloom your career. The tech war boost.
I don't know. I think whether or not he was born in the U.S. is, he was the chosen candidate for the Democrats. It doesn't matter. Like, they're above. We have these sort of like silly like voting protocols and all these sort of like you can't be in certain offices unless you're certain age. All of these stupid little things. Like I think that that doesn't matter. I think when you're playing on that tier.
But what do you think? So here's like the real birther conspiracy. I feel like the media strategy with conspiracy theories is that they take the conspiracy theory, like they pick out specific versions of a quote unquote conspiracy theory, and they choose to really amplify it. And it sort of detracts from like the questions that a lot of other people are asking, because then you can sort of like tar everyone and be like, you're a birther, you're an Obama truther or whatever. But like the real like version of this conspiracy, like it involves like who Obama's like real dad is, and people believe that it's this guy Frank Marshall. Probably, have you heard about him?
I have not heard this particular theory.
So this is a guy that like is specifically linked to Obama. Like that's the part that they knew each other. Like Obama mentions him like in his book. Uh-huh. Like he was like sort of kind of like a father figure to Obama, or tried to be. But he was a communist, and he was like investigated a lot by the FBI, and then he was like in Hawaii at that time. So people, what they really think is that like, you know, his so-called biological father, like Obama Sr., is like already married back in Africa. Uh-huh. And that people think that he basically stepped in, and that there was like this white girl with like her black boyfriend who was like a communist. And this guy did her a favor by like marrying her and saying that the child was his.
Is that what happened?
Well, people don't know for sure. I mean...
Well, they have to have a marriage license. I mean, like, the birth certificate is one thing, but, like...
Yeah, I mean...
marriage license you can get.
Yeah, this is like Obama's, like... The person that they say is Obama's biological father is not. And it's really this other guy who has a lot of, like, radical connections and had a lot of, like... Obama has kind of, like, tried to excise him from his legacy and like edited out references to him and stuff in his writings, and so people think that like he was really involved.
But he's so,
and he also
he's so proud about his community organizing. You know, this sort of like cutesy, grassrootsy stuff. You know, he comes from that. You know, activist, quote unquote, activist left, or at least like, I don't know. He's okay with that sort of biography. You know, So why would he cut?
This is like the like there's a major like Obama biography that came out called like Rising Star, and that's sort of like the thesis of the whole book, is that all the shit like Obama's whole like history is like really fake, but he doesn't like go to like birther levels, but like but it's still like the most authoritative like biography that someone's tried to write out like about Obama.
You know, there's a lot of like there's a lot of questions in there. Yeah. There's a lot of like things that are not so clear about his.
And one of the things that's not so clear about him is that his first job out of college was to work at a CIA front company.
That's not good.
And
a little dirty.
It's like, I don't remember the name. It's like Business Corporation International or something.
You know, they can be really not creative.
Look up Obama's CIA first job.
Steve Jail.
No, look it up. See what the name of the company is. But his job there was like, he was like an analyst, so he wrote like memos or something, like foreign policy newsletters.
Yeah.
Which like espouse like the CIA like perspective of like neoliberal like internationalism.
Right.
Yeah, like American-led neoliberal like global world order. So that was like Obama's first job, but not to be like a spy James Bond. That's what James Bond does that's so fucked up, is that...
What like, I haven't seen a James Bond movie in a very long time. Like, what is his... Is he like a bounty hunter?
Yeah, he like does parkour and shit, and he jumps over, like, leaps over tall buildings and like does all this shit. And
I don't know. Like, I don't think I can suspend disbelief enough to think that he's doing all this parkouring and then he's wearing all these nice watches. Like, I don't know. It's like,
definitely not.
Some of the watches, I don't know, maybe this was like an ad campaign and I'm confusing it with a movie. I don't know. I just associate James Bond with like luxury watches. Was there
always want an Aston Martin because of
Yeah,
James Bond
there's a lot of
movies now.
plug of like.
Look what James Bond has done to you guys.
No,
Yeah,
but
I'm a
like there's a lot of
materialist.
like luxury goods and plugs and sort of stuff. It doesn't mesh well with the parkouring culture.
But like CIA,
aesthetic.
the real shit is like Obama's first job of like where you write propaganda
Yeah.
and you like analyze like foreign intelligence and then like write propaganda for a CIA front company that like also employs CIA agents in, you know, as reporters going around the world. And Obama
definitely a
sat
good
behind a
first
desk and
job,
like
though.
analyzed that intelligence and like put up propaganda for like the deep state or whatever.
Do you
Yeah.
want to read this?
I think he was very good at what he did as the kind of president he was aspiring to be. I think that like people don't give him enough credit for, you know, like in and of
Yeah.
himself, like being this like kind of shitty neoliberal president. He was very good at that, and he wasn't aspiring to be anything beyond that.
He just wanted to smoke weed until a couple of
he was smoking
Koch brothers
cigarettes
were like-
too, and I
he had to
respected
quit
that.
before he went into the
The
White
company
House.
that he worked for is Business International Corporation.
That's they're not even trying with that. Like you can like
This is after graduating from Columbia. He says this in his autobiography, and
There's-
this is
there's
in
an
1983 that he started working at this company, and it's a known, you know, revealed CIA cover.
there's an art to naming shell companies that I guess missed them.
I used to work at a finance company that like my role was pretty much going through like Panama Papers for clients and like finding connections for them.
amazing.
There were a lot.
I love.
I didn't
when
find
these
any
things-
notable figures though, unfortunately. I always wished I would come across like an Epstein or a
No. I did work at a job once that had a couple of clients. I did work at a job once that had George Soros's son as a client.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yes.
Alex.
I don't know. I don't remember
Alex
his name.
Soros, yeah.
But I just remember that fucker got a discount he got like a discount from like this big corporation, this New York corporation, because his lawyer complained to us.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and his lawyer's like, this is like, do you know, like, this is like George Soros's son or whatever.
Oh, you got like a name discount?
Yeah, and it's like, you know, yeah.
I have some insider information about discounts. The Trump, not administration, but the Trump company, corporation, whatever it is, has a family discount where he charges his children, I think it's 150% on any Trump properties that they want to purchase. So it's not actually a discount. He charges them
a
lot more. Yeah. Yeah.
Why? To like teach them.
Yeah, like some kind of parenting thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What sort of parenting are you going to use on your child?
I don't know if I'm going to have a child. I mean, I'm 30. I probably have like 8 more fertile years or something. I don't know. It's getting real.
So you are not getting into
I'll probably have like some
pedagogical
dogs.
theories right now.
No, I think I have
Do you have the names picked out?
I do, but I use them on the feral cats in the back. of my car.
What are your babies' names?
I have I have 5 cats that I take care of, but actually I don't feed them. The neighbor feeds them, and they all come to like spy on me.
And they still like you.
Yeah, they like me better, and I'm not even feeding them. But I want to start feeding them because I want to domesticate them. There's Daisy and Tiger Lily and Leland, which is the male one. He's kind of a rapist. I have a complicated relationship with him. Laszlo, there is Bishop. I think that's all of them. There's one more cat that comes in from time to time that's also a big male, looks like Leland, who I haven't named yet.
Big Leland.
He's like Leland, but with more black on him. I don't know.
Yeah, I can tell.
But it's always the same. Like they're always there, My favorite are the two little girls. I actually really am debating trying to.
Is this what you talked
them.
about on Red Scare when you were on?
No, on Red Scare.
I haven't listened to Red Scare, so you have to tell me, how do we compare to Red Scare?
On Red Scare, I was talking about climate change and Jerry Saltz, and everyone got, I guess, upset. I don't know. It's just kind of silly to ask art. I'm not a climate scientist or
So you don't believe in climate change?
I think the climate. My official position is of course the climate is always changing. How much of that is human, intervention? How much is natural? We don't know. And to have this sort of panic about it is kind of hysterical.
Well, you get people like you get blacklisted now if they're climate deniers?
I'm not really climate on the level of climate denial.
No, but this is climate denial. Because we've talked about this on the show before, is that this is what a lot of climate deniers believe, is just what you said, is that the studies for climate denialism that claim that there's a big consensus use a very broad definition of the climate hypothesis, right?
Yeah, but
what do you mean?
Is that they... okay.
Doing climate denial.
Taking my cigarette now.
Doing climate denial is being.
I'm just making
I feel like that's an
change.
invention of a word the CIA invented, conspiracy theorist. A climate
But
denialist isn't the real thing.
It uses a very broad hypothesis of what the climate hypothesis is. You can have a very soft version of the hypothesis, which is
but
just.
How broad is broad?
This is what I mean, is that you can have a very soft version of the hypothesis that says basically climate changes, it's always changing. Humans have the ability to change climate.
Yeah.
They are changing climate to some extent. We don't really know how much they contribute, and we also don't know exactly what the consequences of that will be.
Yeah, why is that wrong?
That's what a lot of these studies claiming consensus, that's what they say.
That's fair, I don't know.
But then the way that it's marketed is that it uses the much stricter hypothesis that's humans are destroying the world, climate change is going to destroy everything in a certain amount of time.
You know what I think it is? And a lot of these people claim to sort of be truly ecologists, in this sort of deep ecology thing. It's just an aesthetic preference. We have an aesthetic preference for this pastoral, whatever we envision the environment to look like. And all of this is just sort of whining. The Earth is going to do what it wants to do. It doesn't care if you prefer biodiversity. It doesn't care if
praise Mother Gaia.
It looks like a smog-filled post-apocalyptic, future. Whatever. It's going to be one way or the other. It's not going to be the way that it used to be. That's pretty much certain, and too bad. If it doesn't favor human life, then too bad. That's
some of the climate deniers that get blasted a lot and who go to the Heartland Institute climate denial seminars and give lectures and shit about this. Some of those people say the soft version of the hypothesis and are counted as part of the 97% consensus or whatever, but they're deniers of the harder hypothesis, so they get put on blast.
That's interesting how they sort of how they rope that into the consensus.
Because if you think about it, these studies that claim to examine the extent of the consensus, if you think about it as how do they do that? They do that by reviewing studies. So they take 1,000 studies about climate and they read each one of them and then they classify it.
Yeah.
Does it believe in? So
of course it's going to be bias.
So a lot of these,
whatever,
a lot of these
it's not
studies
blind.
That are being included in the data for these consensus studies, a lot of the base studies don't really have any means of taking it. They're not about like they're about something specific in terms of climate. They don't make a claim about like, you know, humanity's going to end in 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's just like, it's absurd to even make that sort of statement. And so many people, you know, because like people aren't religious anymore. They sort of believe science with this like fundamentalism, you know.
It's like that South Park episode.
Yeah, and they become, you know, it's really irresponsible on part of the people publishing this, because they know that like people are gonna react in, you know, such a way to this, and I think it's true. Like there's like a lot of I see on my timeline like really like a lot of doomsday talk happening, and it's just like, is this necessary? Like to like fearmonger people about something that they actually probably have no part in doing. I mean, the average person isn't flying on a private jet or like isn't producing industrial waste of some magnitude.
I know. I went to the Catskills and to stay with some people, and they were like of that mindset. Like the wife, she didn't think that she could fly anymore. She had made a decision not to fly anymore.
Oh, leaving carbon footprint type.
I can relate to that only in that I'm increasingly more afraid to fly because I don't believe safety statistics about flying, or like I have cognitive
for
dissonance.
like a climate reason, like she's not flying.
Well, good, because
so like
usually
Greta Thunberg.
These types of people make really obnoxious tourists in whatever place they're visiting. So maybe it's for the best that they're not traveling. I mean, what else are they traveling for?
I don't know, but
like if you live in the Catskills, like maybe you're going to like a
she wanted to like go
yoga
to Europe,
retreat in
like on a
Tulum
vacation or something. She just wanted to go like on a vacation somewhere, and she's like, I can't fly anymore.
Good. I mean, that'll make a plane fare cheaper for me.
What do you guys think about Greta Thunberg? Do you guys know about her? You familiar? She's this this like 16-year-old, 14-year-old something.
Oh, the climate girl?
Yeah.
Oh,
and she said that she wouldn't meet with
her.
Trump because it was a waste of her time or something. Like, who cares about that? Fuck her.
She's setting
I don't
sail
think Trump would
today.
want to meet with her, actually.
It's I was looking at her ship that she's going to be sailing to the UN and to reduce her carbon footprint, because that's going to do a lot.
See, and
she's going to get lost at
what
sea.
The climate deniers
she has
actually,
to shit in a bucket and like piss off
what
board.
The climate deniers actually like say is that, you know, you also can't judge like the consequences, like in terms of like economic,
of course.
like how do you like
it's
measure?
such a complex system. Like it's not like a closed system. Like you can't just say like, oh, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Like
so yeah, these people will say like, well, what if some climate change is good? Like global warming could be good. It could increase growing seasons.
Yeah, and maybe like people don't consider the fact that maybe with human intervention, the climate is changing to be more favorable to what humans want. You know, maybe this is like what we want. People complain a lot about like extinct species and so on and so forth, but it's like you want these ill-equipped animals to suffer in like an environment that like is no longer like livable for them. You know, it's this sort of thing. It's
but no, that's the thing,
again
that
like super
nature,
aesthetic thing.
Nature doesn't have a preference.
Yeah, exactly.
So the whole concept that people are floating now of like the Anthropocene. And it's like the unique human era.
Exactly,
of
but they don't really believe in the Anthropocene. Otherwise, they wouldn't have this like human-centric ideas.
Because the whole idea is human-centric to begin with, because it reflects human preferences about like order and change and like the nature of reality and the universe. But really, nature itself does not contain this preference. Like nature doesn't care whether or not there's any life on Earth or not.
Right.
It's
like
totally
this,
indifferent.
Well, this sort of like inverse of that is this like these weird like ontology people who are like, oh, like if we just understand nature as like a subjective thing, you know, like, oh, like the rock has feelings or whatever. Like this sort of silly thing is like kind of the inverse of the way people should be thinking. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on peak oil?
I mean, it's not a real, is it real? I've heard that it's just this sort of like, hysteria. It's not like a legitimate.
So the thing about this is that in reality, oil is abiotic. Oil does not come from decomposing organic matter. It's not fossil fuel. And this is how we can get back to the Anglo-American establishment here, is because there's actually there's a guy, Fletcher Prouty, who was part of the Joint Chiefs of Staff's office, the Chief of Staffs in the Pentagon, and he was the director of special operations and Black Ops to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and that was in the early '60s under JFK, and so then after he retired, he wrote a lot of books about how the CIA really worked, and he wrote about how to read CIA memos and stuff, and how to understand how they talk. And one of the things he talks about is how, because part of his job too was in World War II, he was part of the U.S. Geological Survey that went to examine oil in Saudi Arabia, because they wanted to know when at the Cairo conference and shit, how to divide up the Middle East after World War II, and they wanted to know about oil and shit. So he was actually the pilot of the U.S. Geological Survey mission that did that for the Cairo conference. But his contention is that oil is not biotic; it's abiotic. That it is the result of a geological process that goes on deeper in the earth than people think. People think oil is, at a certain point, but really oil comes from a lower point and it bubbles up. And it's not a biotic sort of thing. It doesn't come from fossils, and it's not finite. And he believed that oil wells refill over time. Mm-hmm. And so he believed that it was basically what Carroll Quigley would call the Anglo-American establishment, or the Round Table movement, is that these people were the, people who decided back in the late 19th century that oil was a fossil fuel, and they had a conference about it of the oil producers and Rockefeller and shit. And they decided at that conference what oil was, and that it was a fossil fuel. And really, it turns out that this is also the consensus in Russian geology, is that oil is abiotic, and that it is produced by an inorganic geological process. Uh-huh. So this is what the Russians actually think.
The Russians believe in peak oil.
The Russians believe in abiotic oil theory. That's what Russian geologists, that's what their scientific consensus is. And all that research is quarantined in the Russian language. It doesn't get translated to come over here, because we believe in peak oil and we believe in Black Gold Stranglehold. That's the name of a good book about it, Black Gold Stranglehold.
It's interesting because they're dealing with a lot more than we are. They have natural reserves.
Yeah, but that's the way. This is how they used the theory that they used to actually do that and develop their oil reserves, because this is a scientific theory that makes predictions about the location
supply,
of oil. Yeah. And so they've also predicted that you can find oil at much deeper levels than has ever been found before. And they did an experiment where they did this, and they dug really deep down, and they found oil where there shouldn't be oil. And so this is true shit. This is abiotic oil theory is real, and fossil fuel oil theory, peak oil, climate change, all developed by the Round Table movement or whatever, and by Bill Clinton and by Jeffrey Epstein. Then that's the modern incarnation of it. And these people founded the CIA, and they have been running the whole 20th century, and that's the deal.
My energy lobbyist friend says that climate change, the way the hysteria is it's not real. It's totally not real. I mean, can we trust him? I don't know, but that's what he says.
So it sounds like if these oil wells refill, then oil is hyperinflationary, and that once again Magic the Gathering cards.
Yeah, you should not buy oil futures. You should not buy crude oil futures. You should be investing in Magic the Gathering booster packs, sealed product. You should go out right now, buy Core 2020 booster boxes, keep them sealed, keep a warehouse storage unit full of them, and they will appreciate more than any other investment.
Do
you believe that, Deanna?
I'd have to take a look at the.
You'll have to watch some alpha investments.
I'm gonna have to look at the charts.
If you know, there's no questions about this.
Analysis.
Do you have any idea? I did it. You know, I looked at the rise in price sealed booster boxes of Arabian Nights from like 1993. How much they have appreciated in the last year. You know, they have like more than doubled. Like a sealed booster box is twice as much as it was last year, and like Bitcoin is like down. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like that. I mean,
magic is always only going up.
The key is timing. Yeah, it depends on what your time horizon is for your investment. You know, you kind of, with crypto, you kind of have to get in and out fast. But
can we count on you to liquidate all your crypto into Magic the Gathering booster boxes?
No, I have crypto that I can't liquidate at all, actually. It's really annoying. My settlement from Mt. Gox is still in litigation in Tokyo.
So you're an OG.
Yeah, no, I get all the paperwork from the district court and all that. I'm getting my settlement, but someone apparently made like a huge claim, so like the whole process is delayed until at least 2020. It's been a few years now, but it's good. I mean, like initially I only had lost like $100. I was like, oh, whatever, you know. I already had sold all my Bitcoin except for $100 worth,
right? And
then the whole hack happened, and then now I'm getting back over 1,000 or something like that
because it appreciates.
Yeah, so it's a nice.
If you had put that money into Magic the Gathering, strategically bought resources,
I'll have to see. I'll have to see how I.
If you had put that into Alpha Beta Editions Shivan Dragons, you'd be soaring right now.
I have Eli Schiff in my DMs now asking me for Magic the Gathering advice.
Oh, what up, Eli?
Shout out to Eli.
I think we're gonna get everyone on this. I think that.
Is Eli going to be on the show?
Yeah, he is, but he has a couple things he has to do first.
He's a busy man.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's super great.
But we're gonna get him on to talk all about him teaching finance.
Is he teaching finance? I thought he was doing design.
Yeah, but you know we gotta let him know all about.
That's what we do.
If you
we magic finance. Pill everyone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's why everyone listening needs to go out and email Rudy at alphainvestmentsllc@gmail.com and tell him to come on TekWars. And if you're listening to this show, I don't know what the fuck are people doing? We have like over 700 subscribers or something now.
Really? Wow.
And on the free ones, there's like 100,000 downloads.
But what the fuck? Why aren't you guys? People are apparently listening to this fucking show, and I don't know why, but people are listening to it, and they're not out there emailing Rudy at alphainvestmentsllc@gmail.com and say, "Hey, Rudy, thank you so much for all your cool magic advice. I'm really making a lot of money. Will you please go on TekWars?"
That's all you have to do is just email Rudy. That's like paying your dues, except you don't have to spend any money. It's just writing an email.
Maybe we'll get him someday. I don't know. We can get Ariel Pink, but we can't get Rudy.
I have to listen to that episode. Well, my computer's broken, and the distributor you work with is not super easy on iPhone. Like you have to download.
Gumroad, it's not the best.
Yeah, you guys need to get your shit together. So I haven't been able to listen to anything or write any emails or anything like that. Actually, it's really nice to not have a working computer. It's
you're unplugged a bit.
Liberating.
That must feel good.
Like it. But yeah, no, I'm a big Ariel Pink fan. In high school, that was like all I listened to.
That's good shit. What's your thing with office supplies?
I don't know. I think like when I was young, the first time I realized that I was like maybe like not normal, not like a normal person, is like my enthusiasm for
like
school
going
supply
to Staples
shopping.
And shit.
Yeah, and
is this like an erotic thing?
No, it's like more like an obsessive thing, I think.
Everyone has their fixations.
But now I just go to Muji store. It's not back to school shopping. I just love nice stationery. I have very good penmanship.
Oh, yeah.
Few people know that about me. I have really nice penmanship.
We're learning a lot about you tonight.
Well,
this is one for your fans.
I hope they're listening. They will be. They'll totally be listening. No, I was like a big doodler in grade school, and then like I had to train myself to like not doodle in class, so I just changed to obsessively neat penmanship as like a way to concentrate. And I never drew again. Like 4th grade, I never made another doodle in class ever again.
The penmanship.
And now I can't. I try to keep a sketchbook. I can't even draw. I don't like doing it. I like making lists.
But you're an
stuff
artist.
Like I don't like. I'm not very good at drawing. I was the worst in my freshman class at RISD. I remember one time we had to draw the people. Like we have this like sort of intensive freshman year where you have to do like drawing and 2D and 3D design. And
you made a tweet that really resonated with me the other day.
About art school.
About how everyone needs a box cutter.
After that, I went and bought 2 extra box cutters just to commemorate that tweet.
Yeah, because you said that every art person had to have a box cutter. What did you say?
Yeah, the coolest part is that you get to carry around a box cutter.
Why is that? Because I had a roommate in college who was in the art program, and he also like had like a box cutter that he was like intimately involved with in a way that I felt was unhealthy. Like, I don't know, he just liked to have it or something.
I barely ever use it. Like, usually if I'm doing some sort of hands-on thing, it's like a way bigger knife or like a way bigger like situation, and like
a machete.
Kind of, yeah. Anything beyond like a little like box cutter knife, but I don't know, it's weird.
Do you feel like the art institutions that you've been a part of have sort of squished you into like conditioned you in a certain way? Is the box cutter part of it? Like all these little things?
I think my undergrad, I mean, I didn't really do an MFA. I went to art school. I went to like a non-accredited but very prestigious program that I dropped out of. But I think it's a freshman year art school thing that you start holding onto this box cutter knife for some reason. I don't know. It's so weird. And I feel sort of like I need to have it, but I never use it.
Like the art community is so like shitty, and like all the people like Luke Turner suck so much. Is that because it's not just a box cutter too? But I imagine that
he's kind of like a fringe person, really. Like he's not, if I went to like a blue chip gallery dinner, I would be surprised to find him there. I don't know. He operates in this sort of like weird fringe circle. He's not super like inside. I don't know. It's definitely a kind of aggressive to constantly carry a box cutter knife, though.
Yeah, but is it like a psychological, like what are the psychological, because like they give you the box cutter, but they give you also like psychological things, like attitudes, like do you feel like there's like the art personality that like they mold you? Like is that what the art culture is?
I think in terms of like any sort of indoctrination, it's that you learn freshman year to take criticism, and they really like you get it really hard.
Oh yeah, they shit on you, right?
They break you. Yeah. There was this one teacher that said to a student at their final presentation, they're working from 8 a.m. to like 2 a.m. every night, like using woodshop and a lot of like dangerous equipment, and like he goes to the student, he's like, throw that away, but don't throw it in my garbage can, because I don't want anyone to know that you made that in my class.
Yeah, I went to a Waldorf school, and
so
they made
brutal.
A lot of students cry. That was a big thing, was like breaking down their, almost like MK Ultra, like breaking down their personalities and egos into a fucking
Is art school like in general an MK Ultra program?
Kind of. I mean, it's weird. They supplement the sort of like very practical arts that, you know, like this very tactile skill-based education with like these weird liberal arts requirements, like semiotics. I had to take semiotics. Like, you know, what's that doing in my repertoire? You know, it's weird. Like they have these cute little sort of post-structuralist type liberal arts classes, and then you take your whatever skill-based discipline you're into.
You get molded, yeah. You get shaped into something that you are no longer aware of.
I mean, there's a very sort of specific de facto arts education. It's like very, you know, you do like a survey of art history, and then anything contemporary is very focused in like postmodernism.
But they don't teach you about abiotic oil theory or anything. They teach you global warming, and they teach you...
No, we never talked about the environment, really.
Oh, so now your art is environmentally irresponsible?
I'm sure people are making, you know... I mean, I've seen it. There's like a lot of work about like the environment and so on and so forth lately. It's a hot button issue. You know, wherever there's one, there's going to be some sort of trite artwork about it.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I don't think we should have any of those. I think Deanna has to go to the bathroom.
We'll take it.
Yeah, well, you can go to the bathroom. Now everyone knows that you're going to the bathroom, and now this is a shitty show, and now I'm going to have people in my fucking, comments commenting me, the episode with Deanna was so fucking shitty, man.
She has to use the bathroom in the middle of the episode.
She has to use the bathroom in the middle of the episode.
I drank a coffee and a beer.
I've been holding it. I have to pee too. I had a couple beers.
If you both have to go to the bathroom, then fucking go to the bathroom.
Pause the episode.
No, don't pause it. I'm just going to keep going full steam ahead.
You hear it in the background. You have to pause it.
No, go. Just go. Go. No, we're not pausing it. We're not pausing it.
Pause it.
Okay, we're back, and something happened, and we can't talk about it because Deanna keeps shutting down the recording to prevent us from mentioning her indecent things that she's doing when we're off the air. So we took a break. You can go back and listen to the first half of that, and then listen to what we were talking about at the end, and then you can hear what she was doing. And we can't mention it. We can't talk about the word.
But
It's redacted.
what were we talking about at the end?
We're talking about how you took a piss.
No, but like before that.
We were talking about Alan Dulles, and we were talking about, you know, how he was a patient of Yun, and how he sent his wife to go be a patient of Yun's because he was, sleeping with other women when he was doing backroom business deals with the Nazis during World War II under OSS. And that, you know, she got upset about that, so she needed some therapy. So he sent her to Yun. We got a great book here. This is one I want Tulsi to read.
Well, did it work? I mean...
I don't think it did. His family had a lot of emotional problems, and he actually had his own son, MK Ultra'd.
Oh.
Really?
His son was injured in the Korean War and had, like, some kind of brain injury and had a lot of, like, depression and shit. So they actually had... they got so desperate that Dulles actually took him to, like, the MK Ultra, like, doctors that they used and, like, let them do MK Ultra experiments on his son.
Well, I guess he was, like... You know, like messed up anyway. That's the way these people think. It's like, oh, whatever. You know.
This is the first civilian director of Central Intelligence, the most powerful director of Central Intelligence in its history. This is what he did with his time. He sent his son for MK Ultra experiments.
People asking us for book recommendations, just fucking read David Talbot's The Devil's Chessboard, Alan Dulles, and what is it?
It's Alan Dulles, the CIA, and the Rise of America's Secret Government.
That's all you need.
And the author of this book is the founder and editor of, or was the editor of Salon. So, yeah, that's always the weird part about this. Used to be more of a part of the like liberal mindset. Like this is like what Oliver Stone sort of stuff. But like now, everyone is like pro deep state, pro CIA, pro intelligence community. Like, what is? I don't get that at all.
It's weird. I don't know.
Is it like a sadistic type thing? Like they enjoy getting bound up by the state?
They're on the side. They think that, like,
Japanese rope tying.
You know, that the FBI people are trying to take Trump down and shit. So they support all these intelligence activities.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they really have no qualms about using whatever instrument they have at their disposal to, like, achieve whatever goals they have.
It's really fucked up. Is that people don't care. They don't care about this anymore. But this is why I appreciate Tulsi. Are you going to be a Tulsi supporter?
I don't really know that much about her platform. I saw some videos of her doing aerobics. I thought that was interesting.
That's a big thing that I think she does on Instagram.
I'm pretty hardcore Marianne supporter.
Yeah, because she said that we have to, like, fight the evil demon forces of the world, the dark energies and shit.
Yeah. She accesses, like, a sort of spiritual wavelength that, you know, that is similar to what Trump does, but is not exactly the same thing. So, like, she resonates in a different way than he does, and she has this sort of, like, uniquely American appeal. She's very new age. You know, she comes from this, like, California, like, spirituality.
Yeah, but isn't that all bullshit?
I mean, it's a spirituality, you know.
But we have talked about this.
You know, like, whatever we might think of it, you know, it's people really, like, do adhere to this, and, like,
true.
It is uniquely American. Like, it has all these sort of like bits and pieces, you know, from, like, Eastern religions and, like, you know, weird cult-like.
We support this,
you know,
because
it's our culture, you know.
This is what we have talked about, is that this is, like, fascist Nazi shit. That this is the basis of the whole hippie movement. Are you aware of this?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely a creepy thing, you know.
It's not even creepy. There's a much deeper, like, historical link in all these things. Is that the first hippies were, like, people in California, the nature boys, who lived off in, like, you know, the canyons, the deserts of, like, California, and, like, grew long hair and shit. And they, you know, were into, like, health food and all this sunbathing.
Totally.
And that was, like, a German thing that comes from, like, proto-nationalist Lebens reform movements of, like, the 19th century.
Of course, yeah.
So is Marianne Williamson a Nazi?
No, she's not. Not insofar as the entire New Age hippie movement in California is, or, you know, maybe also it's in Seattle. I don't know that much about the West Coast. I don't spend that much time there.
Yeah, I can't say.
Why not? We're gonna go to the West Coast and hang out with our new best pal, Ariel Pink.
I'm just like never really there. I go to like in Europe instead. It's just as far, but I like the nice weather there.
Yeah, so is that where you're going to end up? I saw some tweet from somebody.
No, I can't. You have to, like, drive a car. That's too crazy.
Do you have a driver's license?
No, I've never driven a car, and I don't want to.
Really? That's, like, the main thing. That's, the main thing about American experiences, that I feel like New Yorkers, like, native New Yorkers, like, they don't get it.
They don't get a driver's license.
Well, no, they don't get America because they don't fucking drive. This is what Modest Mouse talked about.
I've been driven around America.
My grandma is like 80 years old and lived in New York City her whole life, and she's never had a driver's license.
Because I would kill someone. Absolutely. I'm just like kind of clumsy.
Intentionally?
Very irresponsible.
Well, no, I'm like a little, you know, like I can't tell my left from my right. Like I'm not. It's just not my strength, you know. The things that you need to be an efficient driver.
Are you waiting for like Tesla's LiDAR?
No, I just have no desire, really.
You
But
just
I
want an
hate
Uber?
also taking airplanes.
Yeah, you were
We
saying
were
that
talking
previously.
before about this woman who was not taking airplanes because she didn't want to do a carbon footprint.
Yeah,
that
Greta
was too-
Thunberg.
Yeah,
and her
Jamie,
shit
bring up some
buckets.
shit about like ion planes.
Yeah. This is interesting. This is like an activist performance artist who's like 15 or something.
Yeah, and she has
Are
like,
all
the whole
activists
really
Bilderberg group
performance
backing
artists?
her sponsoring her fucking
a
trip
lot
on
of
this little boat.
activism, I think, is spectacle. Like the in
This is her.
the urgency to have your cause be heard about, you like resort to like all this sort of crazy spectacle. Especially, I'm thinking about the what is this meditation group from China that says that they're persecuted by the Chinese government. I forgot, the name escapes me.
I'm not familiar.
No, I don't know.
Anyway, about 10 years ago or so, they used to stage these like very spectacular scenes on street corners with like these bloodied people in cages representing like their persecution in China by the Chinese government. There's some sort of like religious or spiritual group. I forget the name of it, but there definitely
pretty
is
sick.
like an element of art to activism. I think they've always had sort of like a history together in some way.
Yeah, Greta's on the cover of GQ right now.
But
What's that?
her
It's like a fashion magazine. So, they're mixing the world of fashion and politics, aesthetics, and...
but her performances are so cringy. It's like
It's
she's
very
taking,
underwhelming,
Like, what is she
and-
taking a canoe to like a
It's like a wind.
boat dock
It's
or
like a
something? What
wind
is
or
she doing?
solar powered fucking.
Are you going to go see
UN?
the Shia LaBeouf movie where
There's
he plays his own dad?
No, I don't think I'll see. I don't think I'll go watch that. I don't watch
Are you
movies.
boycotting?
What are your
No,
favorite?
I
What are
just,
your
like-
favorite movies?
I'm like really not a big movie person at all. I really like.
There's no movies that you like.
television? What's your media?
I
format?
like TV shows a lot more. I'm like.
Like the Office type basic
Yeah,
stuff.
I really
or-
like sitcoms. I'm
Okay.
like a connoisseur of
Do you
sitcoms.
really like According to Jim? Is that your favorite? That's
No,
my
I
favorite
like
sitcom.
like old 70s sitcoms.
I like what you said the other day, Compa, was, I think yesterday, was that your new favorite YouTube genre is, what was it? Black people
Black guys listening to Rush for the first time and doing reaction videos. This
I
is
need
like
to
a
check
whole
that
fucking
out.
genre of YouTube videos of like, it's like two black guys and they're like listening, like they just listen to like progressive rock or like metal songs, and then they like react to the song and they like say how cool it is. And then like all their comments are like, hell yeah, like black dudes can like Rush too or whatever.
That's crazy.
And the black guys are like, yeah, this is totally my jam. And they're like listening to Rush like YYZ or some shit.
Just the idea of making it's almost like an unboxing video for music that you haven't heard before, like making like a live reaction. I kind of want to do that. I'm so sensitive to music, but like
So, we can talk about the Phil Spector truths now.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
saying when we were like off the air, for some reasons we can't talk about redacted reasons. We can't even talk about it because Deanna will shut us all down. But we were talking about how my two idols in life are Phil Spector and E. Howard Hunt, and I feel like we need to do more to raise awareness about Phil Spector on this show.
I feel like
You're a Phil Spector fan.
I'm a big fan. I just don't remember exactly what his alleged crimes were, because
Shooting
I
a woman
saw
in the head.
I don't know.
I don't remember what the context was. Usually, like, I can only make some sort of like I can't really make like a good judgment
I heard
on
he's
it because
innocent.
I only glean information from like these pop sources. You know, it's like
Trust
really
me,
hard.
I'm the authoritative source on this, and that I say that he's innocent, and that the feminists sent him to jail. There's like people who are like, well, Red Scare is so good because they, to talk about post-feminism, whatever, but no one's talking about how the feminists put Phil Spector in jail and he was fucking innocent.
Wait, but why would they want him in jail? Like,
Because he's a woman killer who shot a fucking woman in the head.
but like, isn't it enough to just be like a murder? Like, wouldn't anyone be against that? You'd be like, oh, you killed someone, like.
If the gloves don't
this,
fit,
like, without this sort of like.
you must acquit.
I don't know. That could be it. I mean, I would think, if you do a murder, usually you
'Cause they say that
would
he
get shunned by your.
He was basically like the Minotaur, and that he kept like these like burned out, like used up, like failed actresses.
Oh yeah, I
like
heard
in his
that,
mansion,
that
and
he
then,
had some sort of sketchy home setup.
Yeah, and that he would like basically like, I don't want to say kidnap these women, but.
This R. Kelly type thing.
Yeah, and then he finally got accused of killing one of them but he didn't kill her. He's innocent.
Free Phil.
Free Phil. He's like 80 now and he's in jail, and I feel like that's bullshit.
Write him a letter.
But like, whatever, like maybe he'll write more songs this way. Sometimes jail can be good in some way. I don't know. Like maybe reform is possible. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. People like.
I don't think Phil Spector is going to change at 80 years old.
I don't know. You can't underestimate these.
That's like wanting
These 80 years
Ted
old. It's like the
Kaczynski
new
to get an
60.
iPhone.
80s like the new 60. Like, you can't underestimate these people. They're very fit. In Japan, you can live till 90.
I don't think he's going to last much longer. I'm wondering
We'll
who the
see,
first
I
Beach
don't know.
Boy to die is going to be.
That was already the
Brian.
one that. One died already.
A bunch of them, like Dennis and Carl, are both dead. But of the surviving members, I don't know who's going to be first. I would say that it was Brian, probably.
Yeah, Brian
Brian has had health issues recently. I had to say that Brian
But
Wilson
people
is the
can
only.
get lucky with that,
I think Brian
even
only
so.
has health issues because he was poisoned by the CIA. 'Cause
You think he
knew too
was
much of-
poisoned by the CIA?
He knew too much about the
In
Laurel Canyon
1968,
conspiracy.
In 1968, he did go to a mental institution,
But
and
I
was
thought
given
he
massive
had, like,
doses of
a-
elephant tranquilizer, and
I
that
thought he had
is true.
schizoaffective disorder from taking LSD, no?
I don't think as LSD was as much of a part of it as people think, because people say that
That stuff can happen. I don't
people
know.
say that like he had a mental breakdown because he was doing LSD when he was recording Smile, and then that
Yeah.
was like the end. But that's not. I feel like his main mental breakdown actually came after he recorded Friends in 1968, and that's like the real one that he was actually hospitalized for.
Yeah, I
and
can see that.
He actually got, and there were several issues that contributed to this, including the birth of his daughter. And a really fucked up thing is that his dad always talked about how real men will have sons because he had 3 sons. And so when Brian Wilson had a daughter, he like freaked him out a lot, like because he like took his dad's words.
That he was a
Oh
beta
no!
male.
Yeah.
I think my dad wanted sons too, but he got. 2
Do you have
daughters.
siblings?
I have a sister. Yeah.
Oh, great! Your dad.
Do you have siblings?
I have a sister,
Yeah, a younger.
a younger sister,
Oh, me too.
and she's like a hairdresser or something.
Oh, cool.
She lives in Minnesota. I don't actually know much more than that.
Because she works for the CIA.
No, I don't think she has the intelligence for that. I'm not very close to my family, and I don't talk to my sister very much, so I'm not really sure
I don't
what
talk
she's
to
up
my
to.
sister either. She won't hear this either. Definitely not.
Yeah, we're not as close as like the Shapiro family. I have a thing where like families like creep me out.
I'm actually kind of the only person in my family who's I'm like the most distant person in my whole family, definitely, because I always miss the reunions. But I feel like kind of like a loner. Like I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's my sister's birthday tomorrow, and I'm not attending.
I feel
I'm not gonna
guilty
get
a
into
little
that.
bit, you know. But like, I don't know. It's fine.
Now we need to go into like your psychological story. Like, how did you get this way? Sitting before us.
What form did Deanna Havas?
I just manifested here.
Was it the web?
It's quicker than the 2nd Avenue subway. Have you taken it?
I don't take the subway much, but the
Do you really not take the subway much, Warren? You have like the subway is like literally right outside of your fucking door.
No, sometimes I'll take the subway. It's pretty convenient having it right there, but
I have to
like I was gonna meet you somewhere.
Crowded.
What was going on? I was gonna meet you somewhere, and then you were like, you didn't take the subway there. You took an Uber there, and it was like way faster to just take the fucking subway.
Oh yeah,
it always is. Yeah,
it is.
But in an Uber, you don't have to deal with like the fucking, I don't know, all the nonsense on the MTA subway.
Oh man, Warren, I don't know.
I have to take the train because like I have to like if I travel between my mom's house and my house, it's like an hour away, and like it's a $70, $80 cab ride.
I also don't go
it's
anywhere,
like insane.
so.
But I have done a few times that cab ride, and I'm so ashamed. It's like so indulgent. It's terrible.
Yeah, you just contributed a lot to climate change right there. You're
I even took,
like the
I even took
Greta
a
Thonberg.
yellow cab. I even took a yellow cab without this like
not the green
variable rate ride share, like weird finance. You know,
banned.
It's like the way
You're banned from the art world.
Oh, I got banned from Uber in 2014. I was doing I was doing a show in a housing project in a suburb of Paris, and I guess there was like Uber protests, and I had to go into the city, and I like it was in this like weird dismal suburb, and then I called the cab, and then they locked me out of my account, and they like wouldn't fix it, and for years I had no Uber account. It was crazy, yeah. And then finally I have one. But.
Oh, we should talk about Hong Kong.
Yeah, what's going on? They're using all these Pepe memes. Like, what is
that girl
mean
that got
now?
shot in the eye?
I feel like
it's weird, and like,
and they're playing the Star Spangled
and
Banner.
like,
and
what's
flying
going
American
on?
flags. It seems like a CIA operation.
Is it like an AstroTurf revolution?
I feel like it's like an Arab Spring sort of thing, and I don't know. Maybe I'll stand by this because I remember back in the day, I used to listen to a lot of like NPR, and there was a show that was about this, like when the Arab Springs were going on, and the whole point of the show was just about like how good Muslims are. I don't know why NPR had a show like that in retrospect, but they used to have a show that was just like every episode was about like Islam, and like it was like some white lady who hosted the show, and she was like very like multicultural, and she was like always talking about it. But when the Arab Spring came on, I like called into the show, and I was like, "This is never gonna fucking work. It's just gonna lead to like a big fucking shit show. Just like mark my fucking words."
Did you get through?
And then I got through, and I said this on the air, and then they like, you know, the expert or whatever they had on was like, "I don't think that will be so." It's like,
That's so weird.
And then, of course, that's exactly what happened. I was totally right. So I feel like Hong Kong, maybe the same thing is going on there. Is that, you know, I feel like we're being told all this shit by Western commentators.
I think,
but like in a couple years, you're gonna see that it was something totally different instead.
I think that probably they don't want to be part of mainland China's control. I think that's probably authentic, but it's probably just for like financial reasons, you know. It's not anything, it's not like a righteous sort of like revolution in that it's like for democracy it's kind of cringy. Like
I think it's going to be Tiananmen 2020.
I think it's just like, you know, like sometimes
They're
these
waving
separatists
around
like
American
sort of
flags and shit. I feel like that's totally fake.
I think probably if it's in our interest, we would probably just send some stuff over, you know, like we would support it.
So this is what we've learned on this show is that
Maybe we're
you
doing that.
deny
I don't know.
climate change. You're against democracy in Hong Kong.
No, I'm
mean-
totally like I'm totally for them to separate.
Luke Turner, I hope that you hear this.
I think that they have the right to, you know, their own self-determination, you know, like whatever they want to do. I think they shouldn't be forced into anything one way or the other.
It's kind of a nationalist
But then
stance.
they, like, you know,
Self-determination. We need to be determined by the
well,
globalists.
they can
the
do
global world
They
order.
can do what they want.
The,
I mean,
the round table society.
it's kind of like a finance hub, you know, anyway. So like if they want to do that, then like that's not really nationalist, but like that's their prerogative, you know. I don't know. I think that's fair, but I don't know. I think they just don't want to be part of I think they want to stay autonomous. Why wouldn't they, you know?
I don't know. I mean, I know that Nick Landon must be out there somewhere doing something in all this.
Oh man, yeah. Everyone out there, please help us find out where Nick is. Hopefully, he's not in a Chinese internment camp.
Why
and
would
he's
he
hunting on
be?
to get reformed from his accelerationist mindset? The Chinese government can't allow that. There's a lot of theories on /lit that
He's done for.
So free Nick Land.
Nick Land is out. Richard Spencer is now in.
I don't know.
I wonder if
about
Richard
that.
Spencer had anything to do with what's going on in Hong Kong to get rid of Nick Land after the debate that they had.
That would be
It's all connected somehow.
extreme.
I feel like conspiracy theories are like, you know,
Yeah, everything is interconnected. There's always like a network of meaning that like everything coalesces around and like wraps up really quite nicely in its own like convoluted logic.
I think
It's
it's all
kind
true.
of it's always admirable.
I think all of reality is basically a conspiracy theory. I think that like reality in itself is like obviously like there is no such thing as reality. It's like complete anarchy. Like the universe like without human minds in it is complete anarchy, right? Like human concepts like order the universe.
Yeah.
So like nature itself, like the universe does not contain these concepts.
It's just
So
entropy.
you can say like, you know, it's nothing. There's not like the whole idea of the universe is like everything and it's nothing and it's ordered, but it's like complete chaos. Like there's no conceptual, like it's just everything at once and nothing at once. So like it just for us to experience an ordered reality is like already a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Well, it's like this like funny little fiction thing.
That's what we're starting. I think that's what Kant talked about. This is the whole point of the transcendental deduction is that he's pretty clear about all of like experience being a conspiracy theory. But Hume was the skeptic on this. I think Hume is the real guy who thought that there was nothing besides anarchy, and Kant was the conspiracy theorist.
That's why you're Kant bot.
Yeah. Kant was the ultimate conspiracy theorist.
There it is.
We just came in all full circle. We got onto all of it. But, I want to thank Deanna for being here and being on our show. You look a little spaced out now.
Oh no, I'm just watching the
wave.
like waveforms is so hypnotizing.
What's going on in your mind right now?
Oh, nothing. I feel so grateful to be a guest on your podcast.
Yeah, hasn't this like been the greatest experience of your career?
It has of my life.
We're going to reboot your whole career here by showing Luke Turner that you're a climate denier and that you don't support democracy in Hong Kong, and that
I'm totally for democracy in Hong Kong.
We're just kidding.
you're done. You're canceled.
We're just kidding.
But it's
Luke.
okay because you're always welcome on the TekWars podcast. And so is Rudy. And if you're not emailing, are you going to email Rudy once this is over? Are you going to go and email him on your phone?
I will.
Alpha Investments LLC at gmail.com. Please be sure to send him an email and let him know that you want him to come on this show.
All right, Deanna, thank you for coming on. We really
what's
appreciate
your current Twitter handle?
Please plug.
So that people can follow you.
Oh, no, please don't follow me. Don't follow me. Just put it in the episode.
Okay, I'm going to tag Luke Turner in that and say there's a new episode with ultra right-wing climate denier conspiracy theorist.
I also have a lot of, I have a bunch worse, more titles than that.
We'll get into all of them. You're welcome back anytime. But thanks for visiting us in the studio to do this one.
Bye now.